What's going on, guys? Welcome to Steve Does Stuff. I'm Steve, and today we're going to be doing some drift car stuff. Now, if you guys have watched the channel before, you may have noticed I have an E46 drift car. It's my cheap, reliable battle axe of a drift car that I built over a number of years to be cheap, reliable, super fun. Unfortunately, that car is gone. My E46 I said goodbye to earlier this year, or I guess late last year at Christmas. So while it was a pretty tough decision to get rid of my E46, I think the car had run its course. It was going to require some significant investment to try and take it to the next level that I just wasn't ready to make. So I saw an opportunity, I sold it. Likewise, had a bunch of cash, saw an opportunity for this guy right here, and jumped on it. So let me show you what the new project car is. So here it is. This is my new to me 1989 Fox Body Mustang notchback, and it's got a 1JZ VVT-i in it, which is not something that I think is too common. So, how in the hell did I end up with this car? The BMW has kind of run its course, and the last couple years I only maybe used it once or twice, which is too bad. It was not street legal, but every time I used it at the track, it was a ton of fun. You know, life being what it is, people being away, people having kids, all that good stuff. Didn't really get out to use it as much as I wanted to. So in December of last year, or I guess basically just this past December, guy was looking for a car and I threw him a price. He liked it, and that was basically that. It was gone. So that left me with a bunch of cash, not really sure what to do. I don't want to live without a project. I love working on cars, something that you can kind of make your own and learn on. So I started looking around, square body Chevys, old K5 Blazers, C10s, love all of those things. But being here in Canada, everything's a rot box, and everything that isn't a rot box is legit probably 20, 30 grand. So well outside of my budget. I didn't want to spend any more than a couple grand for what I got for my car. Sold some other stuff, so I told myself I'm not spending anything more than 12 grand buy this new project, because like I have a mortgage and a house and I got life to deal with. I can't just go, balls deep on this. So I was looking around, and then this guy popped up online. It'd been for sale for a little bit before, and I was familiar with a couple guys, or at least one guy in Ontario who had built this. And it turns out this is the exact same car. It had the power plant out of his old car. So I knew there was a guy in Ontario who had a car like this. Didn't really know him, didn't really know the car too much, but I messaged this guy. He's about 4 hours north of me up in, North Bay. So that's a bit of a hike to get up there, but it's Canadian dollars, and I'm not crossing a border, so I don't have to pay duty or taxes or anything. So after a lot of Facebook messages, this guy kind of disappearing, then coming back out of nowhere, and he wants to sell the car, and he can't sell the car, but he loves the car, but he can't keep it. A whole lot of jibber jabber, and later, here it is. What's been done to the car? Let's start there. What sort of state is this car in? So as it currently sits, a 1JZ Fox body, I will be the fourth owner of this thing. So the first guy who built this, he drifted a Fox body hatchback with the same 1JZ in it for a number of years here in Ontario. Like I said, I don't know him personally, but I'm not sure why or how he got away from drifting, but he ended up kind of cannibalizing the hatchback and turning it into the notchback. So that was around 2019, drove the car for what looks like a year and then sold it to somebody else because he got an opportunity, which based on his Instagram, looks like he bought a Chaser. Sick. So another guy owned this car for, it looks like, another year. So first guy, 2019 to 2020. Second guy, 2020 to 2021. And for whatever reason, this car seemed to get sold kind of around like November. So somebody would buy it, pick it up in the winter, and away they went. So second owner sells it to Buddy in North Bay. And I mean, up until then, the car is looking fantastic. This has a ton of work to it, way more work than basically what I paid for. You got a 1J swap, you've got a custom shaved bay. There was rust on the towers, but it was professionally taken care of by a fab shop here in Ontario. It's got a Ford 8.8 in the rear end, it's welded, it's Maximum Motorsports front to back, it's BBK subframe connectors, it's a Z32 clutch, it's on a Fuel Tech standalone system. The 1J itself, as far as I know, definitely been used, but it is unopened and it's on the stock CT 20, 15, 25. It's on the stock turbo with a Ford center section in it. So a ton of work. And 1Js these days are going for like $5,000. And that's before it's even in a car. So Buddy in North Bay buys it, looks like 2021. Doesn't really do anything with it. Now, as far as I know, this car was kind of garage kept. And due to North Bay, just let this thing sit outside at like a storage yard, which, look, I've had my fair share of pieces of crap. You've all seen the BMW. I can't do that. I would not let this thing sit outside. Like the fab work and the money and the time that's been invested in this one, it really sucks. So Buddy in North Bay lets it kind of sit for a year or so. As far as I can tell, he never puts it on the road, which I should also mention, the primary goal, or at least what this thing was built for, was like a street-based drift car. It's got a harness bar in it. It's got stupid 5-point latches on it, which they gotta go. But it was like a street car. It was registered, it was on the street, and it was for enjoying every day, which after I sold the drift car, the car that I can only drive basically twice a year, I wanted something that I could enjoy a little more regularly that might be somewhat capable of going on the track. Being the fourth owner of this car, it's been through some shit. The chassis itself, as far as Fox bodies, from what I can see, I'm no Fox body expert, pretty goddamn nice. So let's take a look at some of the key areas that are always an issue under the hood. Now, a big problem with Fox bodies are these shock towers. And as far as I can tell, when this car was originally starting to be built, this had some rust in it. Now, like I said, it was done by a reputable fab shop here in Ontario. I was able to go onto their Instagram, actually find all the work that they did to this car back in 2019. And as you can see, obviously this is like new sheet metal that's been put in here. The rust has been cut out, but this bay has also been kind of shaved and cleaned up here. So all of this work has held up for the past, basically 4 years, except for that little fun piece, which is a result of it being outside. But there's some serious work that's been put into this. It's running a Mishimoto Rad, pretty modest Mishimoto intercooler on it. Another issue with Fox bodies is sometimes their floor pans can get pretty rusty. For whatever reason, I've been under this thing. It's got a little bit of surface rust here and there. I think a small hole on the passenger side that was patched and then quite well covered so it wouldn't rust further. Floor pan in this thing seems great. Torque boxes, again, another issue with the Fox bodies. Been under this one, a little bit of surface rust, no cracks, no swelling, no deformation, no nothing. So the chassis itself is good. And of course, controversial statement, the final problem with Fox bodies, they're slow. Now, this is basically a stock 1J, but as you can see, the slow problem has been fixed. What did this car cost me? $4,000 more than basically what I sold my drift car for. I could barely even buy that motor to put it into my drift car. So in my mind, this made sense. Now, while this was a good deal in my mind to get all of this hardware, all of this fab work, all of these parts and time that somebody's put into this, it isn't without its drawbacks. So the 1J itself has been compression tested and it's okay. It's not the best. I know this motor has been raged on for a number of years. You want about a 10% variance on compression between cylinders, and this one we're running about 15. Cylinder number 6 is a little down. So there's two reasons that could happen. Valve guides have been known, well, somewhat uncommon, to kind of, let some compression out in these 1Js. More common than the valve guides going is the piston rings kind of getting a little tired. Whether it be overheating, whether it be improper tuning, honestly could be both. So we've got a little bit of blow-by in this. Not terrible. Like I said, we're about a 15% variance, but it's there. It needs to be addressed. And if I had to take a guess, I would imagine it has something to do with this thing being put in, not properly tuned, and then someone blowing a bunch of donuts, messing around with it. Basically, getting it a little too lean and having the car not love its life. I've got a good motor, hopefully, on a stock turbo with a really nice engine management system that I want to get working well and reliably. That's number one. Number two is check over the chassis, which we're going to be doing here soon because my buddy who tunes is not here today. I really don't know this car. I really don't know Fox Body Mustangs, and I want to make sure that because I am going to be putting this on the street, it's not going to kill me. I mean, this thing is a small step over like a metal coffin, and I don't really want to die in it. So I'm going to be putting it up in the air, checking over everything, doing a shake test. As far as mounts all around, it's got a solid trans mount. I believe the motor is solid mounted, but everything else is still kind of like rubber bushing mounted. Engine, get it running, get it reliable, have some fun with it. Chassis, do a big check over it, address anything that needs to be done. And that can include surface rust. Grind it, convert it, paint it. I don't want it to get any worse because I think it's a pretty nice car. Interior needs some work. So we got a pretty nice harness bar here on the back. I don't want that. I have normal belts. Carpets, bad. It's missing some trim plates. It's missing this center console, which the main reason I think is the shifter should be basically right up here, and now it's at the end of the handbrake. So I've bought another console. I'm gonna do some dremeling, some fitting. I want this thing to look more or less normal from the inside and outside. Dashboard in here has no guts. So all of the HVAC is gone, everything is gone, it's just a shell in here. We've got this horrific center console piece that has to go. Outside, correct me if I'm wrong, Fox Body guys, but what I was told from my new buddy in the Fox Body world is that all of these Fox Bodies came with single stage paint. And the guy in North Bay who let this thing sit outside didn't do it any favors. This is what it could look like if it was polished up. So we got a single stage paint job on this. This is 1D stone gray metallic that has been sitting outside for a while. Now I used to do a little bit of detailing when I was younger. Know enough not to totally mess something up for like compound polishing. I am gonna do my best with some of the tools that I have to bring this paint back. If you look down here on the side, we've still got some gloss, and then as soon as we turn the corner, it's bad. Now, this is 2 minutes with my hands with some polish. There's no wax on that, but you can see the difference. So this will come back and it will look good again. It's just a matter of time. I think that basically covers everything with this new project. We talked about the motor, we talked about the interior. Oh, one thing I didn't show you. The car, as well as running and driving, also came with a lot of spare parts. To quote one of the greats, Vice Grip Garage, if you want to know what's going on with a car, look in the trunk. So let's look in the trunk. First time owning a car this old, a lot of keys. A lot of keys. Don't really understand that. We got parts. So I'll take these out of the trunk and lay them all out. So these are the parts that came with it. QA1 springs for the front, I assume. So maybe they're QA1 shocks instead. Shock mounts, sway bar end links. Looks like the directional signal plus windshield wipers. Almost a full set of lugs. Strange coilovers, so maybe they're strange coilovers in the front? I don't know. Random box of bolts, 4 1JZ oil filters, sway bar endlings with Zerk fittings. God knows what the hell that is. Some sort of belt for the 5 points. This was a bill from the Toyota dealership. So it's safe to say all of this came from the second owner of the car because it has his name all over it. It was just in the box. So just kind of another reason why I think Buddy just didn't do anything with this car. You just kind of let it sit, and that's really too bad, but it's safe now. We're gonna make it right. So also came with this hood. This came from Buddy in North Bay. It's seen better days. Pretty stone chip on the front, but I'm kind of trying to hold out for one of these stone gray metallic hoods here in Ontario. Mostly because I'm too cheap to paint this thing. It's in rough shape, but that thing has gotta go. I want this thing to look as stock as possible, so we're gonna put a pin in that. Things that it also came with. Trim pieces, sill plates, scuff, whatever you want to call it. No idea where this goes. It is metal though. Came with a stage 5 comp clutch. It's a 4-puck Kevlar. We can basically go ahead and assume that it's going to need a clutch at some point in time. But he said it was okay, just the tires were too big for it. Sure, bud. I don't know if I really want to put a 4-puck, pretty aggressive clutch in a car that I'm mostly going to be driving on the street. Especially this 1J is not going to be pushing a lot of power. If I get 300, 350 out of this, the way it is, money. Moving on. Also got some interior parts. I think these are like A-pillar kick plates or whatever. This one goes underneath the steering column just to clean it up. And let me tell you, it needs some cleaning up. So that is the overview of the 1JZ Fox body, where it came from, who built it, how I got it, the state that it's in, and kind of my plans for this car. So I know some people out there are gonna be like, oh, you just bought it, you just built that butt, brother, blah, blah, blah. I get it. Somebody put a lot of work into this car and a lot of money into this car. And for that, I really appreciate it. Thanks, man. It's great for you doing all that work. The amount of money and time that I would have to put into a car to get it to just this state, which is not really running and driving, but a lot of good parts and fab into it, it's something I don't have. So I'm a huge fan of picking up the right project and kind of continuing on. And that is my goal. I'm going to continue on this project, make it a nice street car first and foremost, then see how it does with maybe some basic drift events, skid pad days, or even maybe just tracking it at a few places here in Ontario. Regardless, I'm gonna make it better, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm gonna be filming everything along the way, if for no other reason, just for shits and giggles. That's it for the 1JZ Fox body and me this time. Thanks for watching, see you next time.